Here, Saskatchewan, the outskirts of Kawakatus First Nation.
This was the last place Emily Osmond was seen. She marked her days on the calendar to keep track of the medicine she took. On September 13, 2007, Emily made her last entry before vanishing without a trace.
A hard-working businesswoman who raised several children as her own, Emily retired to a peaceful life in the country, but her life was cut short.
Emily Osmond was 78 years old when she was last seen by her nephew on her property on the outskirts of Kawakatus First Nation in September 2007. Her family believes she was taken because Emily's dogs were abandoned, and she told no one she was leaving. At any time during this broadcast or afterward, if you have any information that might help solve the case of the disappearance of Emily Osmond, visit our website. Someone out there has answers. Our goal is to find them. Who could harm this peaceful elderly woman who gave so much to others? How did Emily become a target? Could Emily have left her home without telling a soul? What happened to Emily Osmond?
No one could have suspected that Emily Osmond, whose maiden name was LaPlante, would have been at risk in her isolated trailer on the fence line of Kawakatus First Nation. To Emily's great-niece, Jessica LaPlante, the area was always safe.
We grew up in that community, in that area, for generations. We did feel safe. That was the land that my mother and my aunts and my grandparents, that was where we were from. It was our home community, it was home.
Emily was a tenacious woman who had worked hard her whole life, but she was small, and age had taken away some of her physical strength.
She walked with a cane. She had arthritis in her hip, didn't walk a long ways. Yeah, she was limited in terms of her mobility.
Emily loved all living things. At the time of her disappearance, she had approximately 30 dogs in her care.
She would collect any animal that appeared to be stray or arrived at her doorstep, and she just took them all in. And that's, I'm sure, how she, with her family, she just took them all in. And so from people to animals and just the love of a living entity.
One of the last family members to see Emily was her nephew, Myrna's brother.
He had found an owl, and he brought it to her. And I guess they viewed it, and she was happy to see him. And my brother knew that she would find this interesting and fascinating, just to see this owl.
The owl is traditionally a symbol of death, but Emily's nephew could never have known that bringing her the owl was the last time anyone in the family would see their Auntie Emily.
That year was a really, really wet year. In 2007, there was a lot of rain that summer. The growth, the underbrush was just really, really thick. The grass around her on the property there was also very thick and tall and heavy. And there were situations where the police were actually crawling, or people would be crawling through the brush to try to get into different places and make sure that she wasn't in the bush somewhere. She would never leave her dogs. She would never leave her purse. She wouldn't leave without telling somebody, and therefore it's suspicious.
It is possible that Emily knew the person who took her from her home, or a stranger may have tracked her. When Emily's niece April first heard the news, she had a different idea.
At one time, our elders knew how to die consciously. They knew when they were going to go, and they would get ready, and they would take care of their families, and they'd leave a couple moose there for the winter. And they would put their sage and their paint on, and they would go up the mountain, and they would leave consciously.
But because Emily was unable to walk without her cane, and the brush around her property was so dense, because her body has never been found, and because she never said goodbye, foul play is strongly suspected.
There was foul play. We've never found any remains. Whoever had been there had gone through all her little belongings, and they had left tracks, like taken a truck and drove around and around and around and around to hide all of their tracks. So the police didn't have anything to track. That tells me there was premeditation to hide something. And I think her body was taken away and left somewhere else, because there's been many, many searches there. Aerial searches, dog, foot, horses. Elders have prayed, done ceremony to help the dogs, the people, the horses. Everybody have luck in finding her, and nothing has been found. So, yes, I do believe there was foul play.
There is little hard evidence connected to the circumstances surrounding the disappearance of Emily Osmond. If you have answers or to find out more, visit our website. Emily didn't have much, if anything, to steal. How could someone have hurt this gentle woman? What did Emily's family do to try to find her? And did law enforcement do all they could to help? Who knows the truth about what happened to Emily Osmond? Emily Osmond mysteriously vanished from her home on the outskirts of the Kawakatus First Nation, Saskatchewan, in September 2007, leaving her property and animals. She didn't tell anyone she was going, and her family strongly suspects foul play. If you have information that might help solve the case of the disappearance of Emily Osmond, visit our website. Although Emily enjoyed solitude in her later years, her family always kept an eye on her. Her great-niece Jessica remembers their shock that Emily was gone.
She was 78 years old when she went missing. So as an elderly woman to go missing from her home community, she lived a reclusive lifestyle, and she chose to enjoy her space with her animals.
She was living out in the country there, and I think just enjoying her time, her solitude, really liked to be by herself. She really enjoyed alone time, and she didn't really mix a lot with the family at that time. And while she lived there, she would come and join us for different family events and so on. People were always concerned about how she would fare in case anything did ever happen. Whether it was a natural event or like storm or anything like that.
Emily lived a peaceful existence in her later years, but in her youth, she left her home in Saskatchewan and headed off for adventure.
She has a long and interesting history from when she was a young girl, born in that area. And then grew up and went to school in the area, then started employment as a nursing assistant, lived in Manitoba, met her husband in Manitoba, and then moved to the Yukon and spent many years in the Yukon.
The Yukon is incredibly beautiful. No words can describe it. Emily lived very close to the land. We learned respect for Mother Nature. We learned respect for when you go hunting. You take care of things, you use all parts of the animal. She taught us great respect for life. The earliest memories I have of her are in the mountains in Alberta, and she was showing me hummingbirds, and she taught me color, the names of the colors of the world. She was always very open to the magic of life.
Always a hard-working woman, Emily was a chef and ran 3 businesses. She was unable to have children of her own, but raised her brother's 7 children and fostered many other kids.
She made the best bannock. She made the best soups. She was an incredible soup cook. She was a pastry cook. She was like a cordon bleu chef. When she left the Yukon and came back to Saskatchewan, I don't think nobody here really saw all those kids. But she was deeply loved by all her kids.
When Emily's marriage ended, something changed in her.
I think it broke her heart. She was from the old school, that when you get married, it's marriage for life. You learn to work things out and get along with each other, and it's for life. That was the school she had been raised in. So when the marriage didn't work anymore, I think it deeply affected her. And she took to the road. She got a van, and she kind of traveled around in her van for a while. And I think after a while, she started to really appreciate her being independent and single again.
Emily settled back in Saskatchewan and became a recluse. When she went missing, it was a shock to everyone. Family members and the people of the Kawakatus First Nation wanted to join in the search. The RCMP would not allow it.
People from the Kawakatus First Nation and people nearby, when word was received that she was missing, that of course people wanted to come to help, and they were not allowed on the property to help.
Law enforcement did not want to contaminate the scene, but their search for Emily didn't last long.
I had stopped them on the road, and they said that, you know, they were done and that they couldn't find her, and that was basically about it. So we had to, regroup our family at that point and said, okay, you know, where do we go from here? What do we do?
With Emily gone, the difficult decision was made to put each of her dogs down. Emily's family was left to come up with their own answers, but one thing was sure: Emily was gone. A few years later, they suffered another tragic blow.
We had a call from our brother. Our brother was working north of Saskatoon at that time, and he said, we can't find Cody.
Cody Ridge Wolf was 17 years old, a grade 11 student, when he went missing without a trace. The loss of another loved one weighs heavily on the family.
The countless hours that I've heard of my family members spending looking for our loved ones. Of course, there's the coordinated searches that have occurred with, the assistance of RCMP and other dedicated volunteers. However, it's been a taken a toll on our family.
Myrna LaPlante is actively involved in both Emily and Cody's cases.
I'm co-chair of our missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls group, a support group in Saskatoon, Esquibaki, which is Women Walking Together. I think we just keep on going. Over the years, we've had, so much prayer for our family, so much support and kindness shown to the family, and so much help that's provided, I think, so much strength.
Rumors swirl around Emily's case. Although her disappearance was years ago, what action is being taken today? What can a search manager share about the challenges of finding a missing person? Is there any chance that Emily may be found and brought home? Emily Osmond was taken from her property just outside of Kawakatus First Nation in Saskatchewan on or around September 13, 2007. Given that she was 78 years old, walked with a cane, and would never leave her dogs, it is clear that she did not leave of her own free will. The search for Emily Osmond is ongoing, as is the search for her nephew, Cody Wolf. If you have any information that might help solve the case of the disappearance of Emily Osmond or her nephew, Cody Wolf, visit our website. Although the family has had their frustrations, they now feel that everyone, including law enforcement, has learned to work together to better solve missing persons cases. Lloyd Goodwill, a volunteer search manager and retired RCMP officer, believes that the issue of missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls is all of our responsibility.
In 1979, in February, I joined the RCMP. During that short 30 years, or just about 30 years, I honed some of my skills up for search and rescue. I find it difficult sometimes to think that somebody missing is more important to somebody else that's missing. It's not.
Lloyd remembers Emily's case coming across his desk as an RCMP officer. Searching for missing persons can take an emotional toll.
It first started long ago when I was in Lloydminster. And I usually got choked up about that one. Here I was, looking for a missing 12-year-old girl. Her name was Krista Brzlitsky. And I was out with my dog and myself, and I had another person with me from Red Deer. And here we were, in the mountains up by Nordegg, or Rocky Mountain House. And we're calling the name Krista out. That's my daughter's name. Sorry. But we got through it. Here I was just sitting there calling for her. It was tough. But we made it. Here we are, and we're still trying to help.
Although Emily's disappearance is a mystery, her family will not pay attention to gossip or rumors.
Somebody out there knows something. And if somebody out there knows something and they're not telling, saying anything, what are they hiding, right? No, there's definitely someone I feel responsible.
The rumor mill just gets crazy. So when I'm doing the searches, I have to make sure that I stick to fact information.
There seems to be a general sense of labeling of missing and murdered women, that these are street people or they were hookers or something. That's not the case. This woman had a family. She had a very productive life. She was a businesswoman. She ran 3 businesses. She had a nursing background. She was at home by herself, minding her own business when she went missing. Families are grieving because this is misunderstood. These are family people. We are family people.
Emily Osmond's story tells us that there is risk for anyone, even someone living a quiet, peaceful life in a safe community. Emily's great-niece Jessica worries about her grandmother, who lives right near where Emily lived, alone.
My grandmother just lives down the road from where Emily disappeared. There's this constant concern and constant worry that we feel about my grandmother's well-being. A lot of the times, just to sit there and be with her and spend time with her, so she doesn't have to be alone.
Part of Emily's legacy is to remind us to take care of each other and to show the people we love how much we love them while we still have the chance.
Before she died, I went to visit her, and we were sitting in her little cabin, and she had made some bannock. We were having bannock and tea, and it was a Saskatchewan sunset. She had moved back to Saskatchewan here, and it was a beautiful golden sunset. We were sitting there watching it, and she said, I worked so much all my life. I forgot about God, she said. Now I think about God, I watch the sunsets, she said. So I think the things that made her happy were very simple things. Little animals, little birds even, nature, different plants. She knew a lot about the medicines. She was very in tune with nature, and I think it was the very simple things like that that gave her a lot of joy, just to be a part of it.
If I could speak to her, I would just say that, she is loved and she is missed, and that we haven't given up, and we're going to continue to make sure that she's never forgotten.
We just want to know where you are, and we will do whatever we can to bring you home.
I guess I would like people to remember that she too had hopes and dreams. She lived her life. She lived a very fruitful and productive life. But she had a wonderful laugh, and she did her best to protect her family. And I think that's, for me, is there was no one there that night to protect her.
Emily's family knows there is someone out there with information. They want to lay her to rest and have peace for the woman they all love.
If you are the person that has information, please, there's many hurting family members out there that would like to know that information. And if you don't want to share it with the police, Crime Stoppers is the way to go.
She said 3 things to remember. Be a lady. Always use face cream. And a woman needs mad money. And always keep your cart together. I'd like people to remember that. She was an early feminist, so.
For more information about Emily Osmond, visit our website,